What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. If it is your first time joining us here in the dorm room, my name is Layton and welcome to the channel. Today we have something very exciting for you guys, or dare I say fantastic.
Say that again?
It's fantastic.
Today we will be breaking down the newly released trailer for the Fantastic Four First Steps, coming this July of 2025. I am super stoked to be breaking this video down for you guys today because this is not only my most anticipated Marvel project of the year, but my most anticipated movie project of the year in general. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. This trailer opens up with the elevator doors of the Baxter Building opening to show a retro-futuristic design of New York City and the interior of the building itself. Here we also see our first look at Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards' Mr. Fantastic, and also Vanessa Kirby playing Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman. This scene looks to be like they are being interviewed and giving this man a tour through the Baxter Building, who I am thinking this guy may be a reporter from the newspaper or television, because as we know from previous shows, movies, and the comics, the Fantastic Four is a very open and public group of superheroes who are not afraid to show their identities. This universe will already have established the Fantastic Four, as we can tell from the trailer and interviews with Marvel executives, so they will not be tied down to just an origin story. This shot ends with Reed telling the interviewer that they have dinner every night on Sundays at 7 p.m. on the dot, with no exceptions of getting out, really familiarizing us with that family aspect of this team. The Marvel Studio title card pops up with the retro redesign that they have used at past conventions for this film, and it leads us into our first exterior look at the Baxter Building. The Baxter Building has a tall, slim design with 2 points at the top, a large 4 on it, and as we know from previous blueprints, it also has the Excelsior launch pad near the front of it. As many of you probably know, Excelsior is Stan Lee's longtime used catchphrase, so it's awesome that even though he's passed, that we still remember his presence and we always feel him with us in these movies. Following the shot of the Baxter Building, we get probably one of the most talked about moments of the trailer that the internet is already going crazy about, and that is our first look at not only Herbie the Robot, but also our first look at Ebon Moss-Backrack as Ben Grimm, the Thing, in his rock form. This scene shows Ben and Herbie cooking together and showing this little joking, playful side of Ben, where he's kind of critiquing the cooking of Herbie the Robot. Now, on a personal note, I am loving this design of the Thing. I think this looks like they ripped it straight out of the comics and threw it onto the screen. And like I mentioned earlier, this right here is just another way to honor Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's influence on Marvel, just by showing how comic accurate they really are going for with this movie. Now, on the other side of things, a lot of people have been complaining about the VFX in this scene and how the Thing is looking kind of goofy, and I personally do not think he looks goofy. The VFX is definitely not finished for the whole film, as it doesn't come out until July, and this is a typical thing we see in a lot of movie trailers, especially big budget ones like this one. However, I think it's excellent how they used a mix of VFX and also practical effects to get this very, very comic accurate adaptation of Ben Grimm. The musical score in the background grows louder as we get a look at Reed Richards solving some math problems and just doing some smart guy stuff, as Reed Richards is the smartest man alive. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and this could be a very wrong guess, but my guess for what these math problems are to solve is multiversal travel. And my reason for saying that is in a previous clip we got where Reed is doing this kind of fun television show, he is basically explaining that they have confirmed that parallel Earths exist, And this math problem here could be him trying to solve the equation of how to travel to different universes. My best guess is if Galactus does end up devouring this world, that by the end of the film he will solve it and they will travel to the main 616 universe for good. From here we get a compilation of different scenes showing them in their spacesuits, their spaceship, and their mission up to space. And as we know from previous interviews with Marvel executives, this movie will not be an origin story. So I'm guessing with these scenes included that they are going to handle their origin as kind of a flashback throughout the movie. We start to hear a voiceover from Reed talking to Sue, recounting that before the first time they went up, that none of these people had these powers. From here, we get clips of each of the heroes showcasing their powers as this voiceover continues, starting with Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm. I really like this scene here where it's showing the flashback of them up in the spaceship where she turns invisible for presumably one of the first times, because thinking about it from Reed's perspective and her perspective, it must be very scary in the moment what's happening to her. Reed's voiceover continues as we flip to Ben Grimm as the Thing instead of Sue, where we see him walking up to these televisions, which actually are the same ones from the trailer that was released the day before. And this TV is basically playing a video before they went into space, where Reed and Ben are talking, and Ben is just kind of gloating about his handsomeness and his good looks. For me, this was one of the more emotional scenes of the trailer because we can just see how much of an internal struggle this really is for Ben. Losing who you are and what you look like, and just showing how he's dealing with that throughout the movie is going to be something very important to his character arc. Another note from this shot is the parallel between the previous Fantastic Four film, where he is wearing a trench coat and a hat to hide his rock formation, and this is something that's not new from just that movie. It's also been in the comic books as well, and it's a very iconic look for the character, you might say. Reed continues to say that Johnny never caught fire before the first time they went up, and here we get our first look at Joseph Quinn as the Human Torch, and I just gotta say, he looks fantastic. I think he's going to do great, and on another note, the VFX for the flames here just look impeccable. The voiceover switches from Reed to Sue as she responds back to him saying that Ben has always been a rock and Johnny is just Johnny, and what she's doing here is just reassuring Reed that these people are still the same person inside, even though they might look different or can do things they couldn't do before, and that they're all still a family and they need to be there for each other. And like I mentioned earlier, this is just showing how crucial the family aspect is going to be to this film. The trailer continues to showcase their powers as we see Johnny going up into the atmosphere outside of Earth. Then we get a shot of Sue showing her invisible powers where we get this iridescent glow effect that just looks really good on screen. The voiceover from Sue continues as she reassures that she is always there despite her having invisible powers, and she is always going to be right there for Reed when he needs support or anybody else in the family. We flash back after a quick scene of Reed and Sue embracing each other with a hug, of Johnny flying back up into the atmosphere and just floating there for a minute. And presumably, I kind of think this is where he's going to interact with the Silver Surfer, or maybe even see Galactus coming in the distance, and he's going back to warn everybody else to get ready. We see the four of them standing on a balcony watching an incoming meteor strike that's about to hit Earth, and I think this will be right before the final battle where Galactus is either about to fight them or devour their Earth. This could even be the moment that they know they lost and they're going to have to go to another universe, which will be the 616. The trailer wraps up with a bunch of quick shots of various different things, starting with the Fantastic Car driving through the streets, which we also know will be able to change into a flying mechanism. And it is looking awesome, fits very well with the aesthetic of this universe. Next, we see Johnny flying through the city again, and I am just loving these flying scenes. They are reminding me a lot of the Chris Evans scenes. And after a couple other various clips, we see a big moment in the trailer where we see the shadow of Galactus's helmet overcoming the city, and then we see him looking at the Statue of Liberty, but we do not get to see his full face and body. Despite not seeing his full body or his face, I am overly excited to see this comic accurate version of him instead of a giant storm cloud. I have already been seeing some people complain about his size online, saying he's not large enough or he's not to scale of the comics. However, in a lot of the comic book runs, he is able to manipulate his size based on his own will, or maybe the movie will explain it another way, but I do not think this is his final form here. Despite the complaining online, I really like the design no matter how large he is. This is still the most comic accurate live adaptation we have got of Galactus. And if you guys do not already know, Galactus will be played in this movie and the Marvel Universe by Ralph Ineson, who has an awesome voice for the role, and I can't wait to see what he does with the character. The trailer wraps up with the score growing louder, saying the words Fantastic Four, as it shows the four of them on a stage in full uniform with the giant four behind them, mirroring the iconic performance of the Beatles actually on the 1964 Ed Sullivan performance. And I gotta just say, wow, what a great way to wrap this trailer up. That musical score is just perfect, and it fits so well with this scene showcasing them in their uniforms for the first time. Despite this trailer giving us numerous great looks at different characters, there is a couple things that it didn't touch on, which is okay. The first thing we did not see in the trailer was any of Reed's stretchy abilities. The second thing was the Silver Surfer, which will be played by a female in this movie. And lastly, we did not see any looks at Doctor Doom, which in my opinion, it's great that we did not see Doctor Doom or the Silver Surfer, because I think that could draw a lot of controversy. And it's really okay that we didn't see any of Reed's abilities, as they probably are finishing up the VFX for that type of power. But anyways, that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for taking the time to stop and check out my video. Leave your thoughts, questions, concerns in the comments. I want to hear from you guys, and I want to hear your opinions on this trailer. Were you happy with it? Were you disappointed? Was there something you hoped to see that wasn't in there? Leave them down in the comments, and I will get back with you. But anyways, leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for stopping by. Peace.